We ask what happens to Ghana's fight against COVID-19. We'll hear from scientists as well as the very latest on the new executive instrument signed by President Akufo-Addo. Meanwhile, the heads of state and their entourage currently in the country for ECOWAS go through the mandatory testing. Stay for details. Opposition NDC criticizes government over what it describes as a swift implementation of proposed NDC ideas before the December polls.
Na ya manifesto kitwa bi yenya ma ba mu kura say ya di be ya adwuma na party for nimdifo na wo mo ache kotu abota ya kese no enu na wo mo ache ase di ya adwuma no.
And in business, Registrar General sets conditions for proposed payment to investors of defunct fund management firms from September 23.
And later in sports,
a former chairman of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Youth and Sports galvanizes support for both male and female clubs as effects of COVID-19 bite hard on club owners' purses. Details when I join you later with sports.
And we'll tell you all about the 300-year-old fort where a Ghanaian was beheaded and why the community want the story heard. That and more here in tonight's edition of Newsnight. Please join us with your thoughts and comments. It's via WhatsApp is 0244 340 437. I am Emefa Apawu.
And my name is Mensah.
Thanks for staying with us. Let's get into the details. This morning we received bad news, but of course, the latest of that accident at Chichire community stretch of the Accra to Kumasi highway is that the truck driver, the heavy-duty truck driver, believed to have caused the accident, is currently in the grips of the police and is being interrogated. But we know also that 13 persons have been confirmed dead and 18, including some children, are injured after that truck crashed into two buses at the Chichire area. Now, that's according to the National Road Safety Commission. The injured include two children who are yet to be connected to their parents. The Ayensuano District Police Commander, ASP Francis Kwejo Nate, gives details of that accident.
The information we received at the scene was that the trailer truck was from Accra heading towards Burkina Faso direction. And upon reaching Chichire, while climbing a gentle hill, he burst his tires. As a result, he veered onto the other lane in which this Kia Grand Bed bus and STC bus were also coming from. Passenger buses, yes. STC passenger bus and Kia Grand Bed bus.
Okay, all loaded with passengers?
They were all loaded with passengers. And it was the Kia bus which was leading. So when he saw this articulator bus veered on this lane, it was also trying to swerve further to its near side road. But unfortunately, the truck hit and ripped up the metal body of the bus from the front back to the rear, causing 12 deaths from the Kia bus. And this STC bus also following, also saw the scene and was also trying to avoid hitting the truck. But unfortunately, the truck hit the bus, the STC bus, also causing the bus to run over a gutter to the uncompleted road, which is under construction, also involving 2 deaths.
So it puts the total deaths at 14, is that?
14, that is so.
What about those who were injured?
Yes, also about 35. Some were sent to Nsawam Government Hospital, and the rest also sent to Suhum, with some of them very serious.
So that's the Ayensuano District Police Commander, ASP Francis Kwejonate. So you heard him say that the death toll was 14, but the National Road Safety Authority has put out the figure as 13. But let's hear an eyewitness account explaining what he saw.
We were in the home early in the at 4:30 to 5. We hear a big noise, sound. Blah, 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 blah. What happened? My wife said it was accident. So we rushed to the place, and we came. There was a very, very serious injury. People died, and people they cannot fit talk. So they are just crying, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. So we rushed them, and then we rescued them from the incident. So we was there. The firemen who came and helped. That's what I say.
So this bus, which is a Grand Bay, as you know, was coming from Bolga to Accra. And then the STC was moving from
you said Boko to Accra.
Boko to Accra.
And the trailer was from Accra to, what do you call it? No. It says it's going to Burkina. Yeah, it was Burkina car. So it was that car which caused the accident. The trailer.
Because you know, this is a double road, but one inbound and one outbound. So that means all the two buses were going to Accra. Yeah. So the trailer was going to Burkina. It said a blast tie, but we went there. We did not see any driver or any mate. Nobody was in the car, in the vehicle. The trailer, nobody was in the vehicle, but it caused a very big damage. But we have not seen anything about the driver or the mate, so we cannot talk much about that place. So the idea is that the trailer ran into these two buses. Yeah, the trailer ran into these two buses. So the trailer caused the accident between these two buses. So they wanted to swerve, but they do what they can, but they couldn't survive, and that's what comes.
Well, we've also been talking to the medical superintendent of the Suhum Government Hospital, where many of the injured were taking. Dr. Kofi Ablo has been giving additional details about those who died and the sort of injuries that they came with.
The early hours of today, we had 22 patients being rushed to our accident and emergency unit. Out of that number, 2 were children under 5 years, and 18 were seen. The 18 that were seen they had minor injuries, so they were seen, treated, and discharged. We currently have 1 on admission with some lacerations, with facial lacerations, so he's been managed, and 1 had injury into the abdomen, so he was stabilized and referred to the Koforidua Regional Hospital. We also had 13 brought in dead. Out of that number, 6 were female and 7 were male. So in summary, that's what happened.
Initially, when the accident happened, the police launched a manhunt for the truck driver, the cargo truck driver. A few hours down the line, we now understand that truck driver has now been apprehended, is in the grips of the police, and is been interrogated. The Suhum District Police Commander, Chief Superintendent John Owusu, gave the following update.
May 14, and then we said those who sustained injuries, we sent about 19 people to the Suhum Government Hospital. Out of 90, 1 of them has been referred to Koforidua for further treatment. 20 were sent to Suhum Government Hospital, and out of that, 1 of them has been referred to Koforidua Government Hospital for further treatment.
Okay, so we were told the driver of the truck absconded. Have we found the driver? Has he reported himself to
he has just reported himself to the police.
Do we know his identity?
Yeah, he's Bagwian Seni, 32 years of age.
So what is the condition of the injured persons as of now?
So I haven't got the list yet, but we understand some of them have been discharged, have been treated and discharged at the various hospitals. We are yet to get the list or the number of those discharged from the various hospitals.
So can we confirm the death toll as at this time?
Yeah, it still remains 14.
So what next is the police doing at this time that the driver who absconded has reported himself?
Now we are going to question him, and they will take it from there. We are here to question him.
That's the Suhum District Police Commander, Chief Superintendent John Owusu. We've been joined on the phone by the Director for Planning and Programs, David Osafwa Donting. He's with the National Road Safety Authority. Thank you very much for your time here on Newsnight. So just provide some clarity for us. We've just heard from the police since afternoon say that the death toll is at 14, but the statement from the authorities also putting the death toll at 13. At the last check, what exactly is the death toll?
Well, good evening. And I think you have interrogated the issues, the eyewitness account, the medical report, and also from the police. We, the National Road Safety Authority, we take data from the police. It is the police that is mandated by law to get to accident scenes and report as regards the fatalities and injuries. And as far as we are concerned, the police has put up a figure of 14 fatalities. And that is the official number that we are currently working with.
Well, thanks for the clarity there, because your statement, that latest statement, put the figure at 13. But really, what exactly is the situation in terms of the report and the preliminary findings as has been put out, or the information that that has been made available to your authority?
We have received quite a number of reports, some coming from the police, and then also from other people we are contacting. We have the police there, we have the National Ambulance Service, we have also the Ghana National Fire Service. We have the National Road Safety Authority also coordinating all efforts of this institution. At the moment, investigation is ongoing. It is very early for us to come out with the exact circumstances that led to the crash. But we have picked a few information. Of course, we have noted from the other sources that there was a tie bet. We have also noted that there was some overloading on the part of the truck vehicle, that is an articulated vehicle. We are also noting speeding as one of the critical factors. And then on the part of the driver, we are also noting some level of misbehavior. And so we are gathering all this. We will put it through our system, and in the next coming days, we will come up with the exact causes of these crashes. Indeed, we are very serious on it, because this is the time that, as far as the National Road Safety Authority is concerned, we have done a lot of education, sensitization in the past number of weeks under the Arrive Alive campaign that is being spearheaded by your multimedia and the other media groups. And so it comes as a surprise when some of these things happen. And so we are interrogating the issues very critically, and we assure everybody that we will come out with the necessary information for us to know the way forward. Please.
Okay, so that is, I guess, the next big question. So once you gather all this data, what do you intend to do with it? It's also about not only talking, but making sure it doesn't happen again, especially at that stretch. So what's the intention of all the data you're gathering? What do you plan to do with it?
Yeah, there are two things. First of all, is the police will go ahead and in terms of prosecuting, if any of the drivers involved in the crashes flouted any traffic law, and then they will take it up from there. But we, from the National Road Safety Authority's point of view, our investigation will focus on systems, the transport system. We will reconstruct the crash, and then our aim is to come up with correct decisions. We believe this vehicle is coming from, it's an international vehicle, because we see the registration number at the Burkina Faso truck. We also see our transport operators for the buses and the intercity STC. Something went wrong. And so we will reconstruct the crash from the beginning to the end, where it happened. And then whatever comes out, we are interested in the corrective measures so that it doesn't happen again. So all these issues will come up and then we'll put them out. It is our hope and expectation that whatever comes up will be implemented to the brim in a manner that we wouldn't see this disaster happening to us at this very time again.
I'm grateful that, David, I don't think with the National Road Safety Authority.
It's a good time to bring in our Arrive Alive campaign brought to you by Toyota Ghana, Logistics Movers and Bedrock Insurance. Today we're featuring the Upper East Regional Minister Tangoba Abayage, and he has an advice for party supporters against rushing to meet convoys of presidential candidates.
I was in 2016 campaign in Garu, then candidate Nanado. Before he will arrive, we had the motorbikes doing all manner of things right in front of our vehicle. One of these young guys crashed into another vehicle, fell unconscious. By the time the president had arrived, this young man was declared dead. He didn't live to see his candidate win. Please, let's engage in this campaign being very conscious that we have a family behind so that we will arrive alive and then see our candidate win.
And that's our Arrive Alive campaign for today. You're still listening to Newsnight here on Joy 99.7 FM. We turn our attention to other issues now because the 3 months duration of the executive instrument EI 164 that makes the wearing of face masks, covering or shields mandatory expired yesterday.
Well, of course, the concerns about that is what happens to the wearing of face masks forthwith since coronavirus is still with us. I mean, now us technically lawyers to explain there isn't any law requiring it per se because the EI has expired. Now already there are concerns that many people are no longer complying with the safety protocols anyway, since the country saw a significant jump in recoveries. Currently, we have about 29 new cases, 628 active cases, and 44,679 recoveries and discharges of around 294 deaths as well. Our total confirmed cases is in excess of 45,000. Thankfully, John uses a copy of the new EI, which we understand has just now been signed by what the president?
The president, yes. And it's dated the 14th day of September 2020. Today is the 15th, so it was signed yesterday. The other EI expired yesterday. So I'll just read portions of it. So the second page, it says, now therefore in exercise of the power conferred on the president under subsection 1 of section 2 of the Imposition of Restrictions Act 2020, Act 1012, this instrument is made this 14th day of September 2020. So 1, wearing of face masks. A person shall wear a face mask or any other face covering that covers his or her nose and mouth completely when that person is in a public place or leaving or returning to his or her place of abode. So the duration of this particular one is subject to paragraph 5. The mandatory wearing of face coverings under paragraph 1 shall be for a period of not more than 3 months. And the geographic areas that this EI covers is this instrument applies to the entire territory of Ghana. The enforcement also, it says the police may undertake random checks to ensure enforcement and compliance with paragraph 1. And then 2, a person who fails to comply with paragraph 1 shall be subject to the sanctions specified under section 6 of the Imposition of Restrictions Act 2020, Act 1012. And then review where the exigencies of the situation require. The duration specified under paragraph 2 may be varied in accordance with subsection 2 of section 4 of the Imposition of Restrictions Act 2020. And this is signed by the President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa.
The previous year had a concern. I remember the Ghana Bar Association even commented on it, which is the concern about the sanctions that came with it. They thought it was too severe. There was another one that also became controversial, which is if your vehicle
alone,
exactly alone, should you also wear a face mask? I don't know if that has been clarified and dealt with
in here
in this particular one. But I want to bring in private legal practitioner Martin Kwebu, who joins us on the telephone line right now. Thank you. Does it take immediate effect? I mean, or there is still a vacuum tonight, as in the effect of this particular EI that we understand was signed yesterday?
Evans, it takes immediate effect. Yes, because the other one is expired, so I'm sure the president doesn't want to have any lacuna in the law, so it takes immediate effect.
So it doesn't have to go through the process of gazetting, among others, because there were concerns that Parliament is on recess.
No, EIs don't go through Parliament. So as you mentioned, you go through the Gazette. I thought this one has been published. It hasn't?
As far as we're concerned, we're just seeing that it was signed yesterday. That's the copy that we have. So we don't know if that has been published just yet.
Okay. Yeah, then we need that first in the morning. We'll have to verify from the Assembly Press. But, Emefa, because this act is, this EI is basically for our own well-being, for our own public health, it's good that we begin to observe it. We shouldn't begin to get into the technicalities that it has not been published, and so people are free not to wear the mask. We all know that the mask has helped us a lot, and so we would be well advised to continue using it. The only problem we still have is the sanctions regime. In Section 6 of the Imposition of Restrictions Act, Parliament set a minimum of 1,000 penalty units, which translates to 12,000 Ghana cedis, and a maximum of 60,000 Ghana, which various human rights organizations and other civil society organizations have cried to the president that it's just too draconian. In view of the income levels in Ghana. So I was expecting that to the extent that His Excellency has come out with a new EI, something would be done about that law. It's such a monster. If we are not careful, it may be used in such a manner as to cause so much distraction, because we've made the argument over and over that income levels are very low, from the minimum wage somewhere. I think they still don't make more than 350 Ghana, to national service persons, NAPCO, and then of course we should have even started with the millions of unemployed persons in Ghana. So where you have a law requiring a minimum payment of 12,000 Ghana on failure to wear a mask, then you know that this law is really not a good law. So I would want to repeat the urgent call on His Excellency to do the needful, that the law be revised before we use it to crush our own citizens.
Martin Kpebu, thank you very much.
Now, you know that today, you've been talking about the ECOWAS meeting today at the Pidgiase Lodge, the President's meeting with some heads of state over the Malian situation. So we had a number of dignitaries coming into the country since yesterday and today. My colleague Manuel Kranting was at the Kotoka International Airport. He witnessed some of the arrivals of these heads of state. He's joined us in the studio. But let's focus on the safety protocols as far as COVID-19 is concerned. More importantly, the mandatory testing, the $150 testing. We know that diplomatic issues, so they would not pay. But did they undergo the testing whilst you were at the Kotoka International Airport?
Emefa, it's good to put in context that when they were arriving, as characteristic as you would have some of these diplomatic arrivals, there were no handshakes, and so absolutely no handshakes. Everybody was in their masks. But on the score of the testing, I did not see. In fact, I asked one of the 8 around who told me that they had tested them. But I can make a case of the Nigerian Vice President Yemi Osibanjo, who arrived there. We're told that the test is supposed to take about 30 minutes, but the time that he spent after touching down before getting into his vehicle to be chauffeured to the meeting was not even up to 30 minutes. And so from what I saw on the ground, I don't know. I do not. In fact, I did not see anybody getting tested.
Okay. Well, that's my colleague Emmanuel Cranting. He's been at the airport most part of the morning when these heads of state were arriving. But I've been interacting with the managing director of the Ghana Airports Company. Hopefully, he will join us on the phone. But he tells us that all these heads of state that came into the country, Evans, were tested, and that the country will bear the cost, the $150 cost for the mandatory testing. So that's where we are when it comes to these persons that came into the country for that meeting.
Well, you may have noticed that things appear to be rather relaxed than it used to be in terms of the adherence to the COVID-19 safety protocols. Let's listen to biologist Dr. John Amoisi, who spoke in a recent edition of the Super Morning Show, cautioning about the implications for us as a country.
It is abundantly clear that our hospitalization rates have gone down drastically, and also that the death rates are relatively lower. Now, I focus more on the hospitalization rates and the death rates again, because I've always maintained that these are things that are difficult to hide and are fairly easy to ascertain. Now, the fact that the hospitalization rates and the death rates may be going down does not necessarily mean the virus is not spreading. What we have to be very clear and honest about as academics is that we cannot, at this stage, say the degree to which the virus is spreading in Ghana. What we can say for sure is that hospitalization is going down. It is suggestive that less people are falling ill, and that's where it ends. But there's every possibility that the virus could actually be spreading and could be spreading faster. Of course, what we really care about is what the impact of this virus is on the health of the people in the country, which is whether they're getting sick, whether they're not able to go to work and their productivity is decreased, and most importantly, whether or not they're dying. Now, this, speaks to one really important thing, which is how this virus seems to be behaving slightly differently in Africa than it does in the rest of the world. Right from the beginning, we were a bit skeptical, and there was expectation that we would have bodies littering the streets of many African capitals. We did not see this, and it leads me to be a bit skeptical that we will eventually see this. I think if this would have happened, it would have happened some time ago. Now, what is most important here is the paradox. Now, the paradox is this. We are easing up. And so when you begin to ease up, the mind tells you that things are getting better. We're getting back to our normal work routines. People are meeting in church, and they're having the funerals, and they're having the weddings. I was at an engagement in Cape Coast last week. I was at a wedding this Saturday. So when these things happen, people get the impression that, everything is getting better. But au contraire, as we say in French, rather, as you begin to ease up, you need to be more stringent. But the stringency here moves from the public level kind of constraints that are put by the government and the other authorities, like meeting together and this kind of thing, to the individual level constraints, which will be the personal hygiene. And the personal hygiene and these other measures are pushed forward via legislation, community kind of policing, the continuous messaging from religious leaders, opinion leaders, and so on. And this is not happening. And so my concern is that within a few weeks, if we do not ramp up the messaging and get people to take personal responsibility, and we can do this, I'm afraid that just like Kwame was saying, we might see a change from our otherwise not too bad looking picture right now. And I'm very concerned about it.
And that's Dr. Amoisi there. And coronavirus isn't gone by any stretch of the imagination. So please keep your safety protocols and COVID protocols still on. Wear your face mask. As you see, the EI has re-signed and it's enforced. The police have the power to do random checks. And so beware. A few of your thoughts. The road dual carriageway was under construction for how long now? Politicians only have, the talk big, but do very little. This one says, another accident. Did you remember the Cape Coast Takoradi Road? What's the outcome of that? That is Jackson sent us that one. Charleston is Legon says, more often we record those accidents and we all cry out loud, but it ends there. No action is taken henceforth. When will our leaders consider laudable measures to minimize this painful death? And that's why you need to join. Hashtag Arrive Alive here on your Superstation Joy 99.7 FM. Still ahead, we will bring you the election headquarters and the campaign rounds. Dr. Baumia has been campaigning. We've been listening to the NDC in the Ashanti region as well. All that after business. And George joins us with the latest. Hello, George.
Hi, Evans. And coming up in business, Registrar General sets conditions for the proposed payment to investors of the defunct fund management firms from September 23, as persons above 60 years and schools are expected to get all their funds. And telcos push for scrapping of communication service tax to help reduce the cost of telecom usage for subscribers. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all your office essentials. And First National Bank, we are the bank that understands your business. First National Bank, how can we help you?
Look at you, the big boss.
You know they hear.
You know they fear who?
Until somebody says, I will tell your mother.
That's why we say wear a mask, or else
we will call your mother.
Hey, why are you disgracing me? Why your mask?
Wear it for her. Wear it for me everywhere you go. MTN. Visit wearit4.me to send a message to someone.
We give you nothing but the best. We stay above the rest. More quality, more affordability. Kingdom Books and Stationery. Everybody's going to the one and only shop where customer satisfaction is a guarantee. Kingdom Books and Stationery.
Oh yes, with our 30 days credit facility with no interest charge, free delivery services, and our free consultation on setting up your office, Kingdom Books and Stationery is unmatched in our delivery of quality and affordable office essentials, equipment, and furniture.
Experience world-class customer service in all our branches in Accra, Tema, Kumasi, Cape Coast, and Takoradi.
Call us on 0302-764-101
or visit our website at www.kingdomgh.com.
Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all office essentials and stationery. Terms and conditions apply.
Puma Drinks, ready to add flavor to your life? Puma Drinks, bursting with so many flavors, you just can't have enough.
The exhibition of the voters register for the 2020 election is here.
The Electoral Commission of Ghana will display the provisional voters register at all polling stations designated as exhibition centers where voters registered recently from 18th to 25th September 2020, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. each day. Do not assume that your name is in the register. Go personally to your polling station with your voter's ID card as evidence to 1. Verify your details of registration to make sure that your name, photograph, and other particulars are in the register. 2. Make claims for omitted data such as name, age, or sex to be included in the register. 3. Amend details such as incorrect name, sex, age, and unclear photographs in the register and on your voter ID card. 4. Know your polling station ahead of the elections. And 5. Object to the inclusion of names of unqualified persons on stated grounds. The EC has introduced a mobile telephony tracking SMS platform to enable registered voters access their registration details using their mobile phones. Very simple. Text your voter ID to 1422 on all networks to verify your details on the voters register. To ensure a safe and secure exhibition of voters register exercise, the Electoral Commission will direct all registrants to observe compulsory protection protocols like wearing of face masks, temperature checks, social distancing and hand sanitizing instituted by government as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic at all exhibition centers. Exhibition of the Provisional Voters Register is from 18th to 25th September 2020, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. each day, including Saturday and Sunday. Remember, the only way to guarantee that your name is in the voters register is to take part in the exhibition exercise. 2020 Exhibition of the Voters Register exercise. Your safety, our concern.
Participate in the exhibition of the voters register.
Nursing training all over. I'm a hospital. Teachers training all over. And I love to show my and see baby I'll be back here. No, what's it? There she is. There she is. There she is. There she rado.
Welcome back to Business on Newsnight. On the Registrar General, Jima Mawari says only those that sign up to the proposed payment structure for defunct fund management firms can start receiving their monies in the last week of this month. Now, this was after she disclosed that the cash payment will commence from September 23, that is this month. But Mawari disclosed this at the virtual meeting with investors of these 20 investment funds that were liquidated, as she has the court approval to go ahead and liquidate. She has later been given details of this payment structure to Joy Business.
That after we finish with this first meeting, we're going to do the payments by the end of September, as I said, depending upon those who will pick up the bailout package. It is not mandatory. It is not mandatory. It is at their own behest. We will give them whatever government has in store. If they are interested, they can pick it up. If they are not, they'll have to wait for me to liquidate the assets of the individual companies and then pay them a dividend.
But Madam, I understand that this will just cover 22 fund management firms. What about the rest?
Right from the onset, we said that we are just starting with the first 20 because those are the ones who've got orders from the court and have gazetted their orders. I'm going to do this for all the investment companies that get their orders for me to liquidate them. So this is just the beginning. The key thing is you must have an order winding you up, and then your claims must have been validated before you can benefit from this bailout package. Otherwise, you fall in line with what the liquidator always does, liquidating assets and paying you a dividend. So nobody should be worried. We've just started. After that, I'll continue the process.
Registrar General Jemima Mawari, meanwhile, persons below 60 years will get the minimum of 70,000 Ghana cedis. Now, this should mean that if your entire investment is worth this amount, then you are assured of getting everything, whilst those about 60 years shall get the entire payment. Faith-based organizations, schools and hospitals get all the amount paid to them in this Tier 1 payment structure that will be on cash payment basis, while all financial institutions, credit unions will get 50% of this paid to them in cash, while the rest will be invested in a mutual fund. Now, telecom operators say the time has come for government to look at scrapping the communication service tax to help reduce the cost of telecom usage in the country. Their call is coming at a time as they reduce the tax on voice, SMS, data for consumers that is beginning today. Chief Executive of the Telecoms Chamber, Ken Ashibe, says that this will help to reducing the burden on subscribers.
The interesting thing is that it's an industry-specific taxation, so it discriminates against investment into the sector. You know, typically, if you brought $1 million to invest, took it into oil and gas, or you took it into anything else, you would not suffer GST. But if you brought that into telecommunication, your consumers would have to pay this, and which then makes the service, the cost of communications a bit expensive. So we are excited this has happened. We hope that going forward, we would look into the possibility of taking completely off CST such that we would not tax it upfront, but would rather let businesses, students, and all of that be able to utilize the service, and the profit out of that can be taxed.
Ken Ashibe is Chief Executive of the Telecoms Chamber. Now, government is making a strong case for debt relief for Ghana and other developing countries because of COVID-19. The country has been hit badly by the pandemic, resulting in serious loss of revenue. The development resulted in some programs being affected, like capital expenditure. But speaking at the opening of the UN SDG Investment Fair, Deputy Minister of Finance Charles Dubois says it is critical that this time the country is also helped at these times.
The COVID-19 pandemic is having a heavy toll on our fiscal performance here in Ghana. Our revenue estimates are expected to fall short by about 3.5% of revised GDP, whilst our expenditures are expected to increase about 3.1% of GDP, resulting in a massive financing gap of about 6.6% of GDP. We urgently need liquidity and debt sustainability solutions in order to truly recover from this pandemic. Currently, it is estimated that Africa needs $100 billion over the next 3 years to combat the effects of the pandemic. We are still in the middle of the hurricane, clearly.
Deputy Minister of Finance Charles Dubois speaking at the virtual UN SDG Investment Fair. And the National Labour Commission is pushing for the establishment of regional offices across the country to aid the enforcement of its rulings. According to the Commission, this has been influenced by delays in enforcing its rulings in several industrial disputes. The Commission currently has about 5 regional offices in the country, which it says is not enough. Let's hear from the Executive Secretary of the Commission, Ofusua Samoa, who has been explaining to Joy Business about how this is affecting its work.
If you have 80 to 120 cases in a month, and the Commission was sitting once a week, which is 4 times in the, what do we call it, a month. Assuming we were doing 10 cases, we can do 40. So you have between 40 to 60 cases waiting for you. And then the following month, another will come out. So a backlog of cases. That is why we want to, I mean, you see, in all the years since 2005.
Apologies for that low sound quality, and that was the Executive Secretary of the National Labour Commission of Ofusua Samoa. On the total amount of currencies in circulation ending June this year recorded some significant increase. It now stands at 16.8 billion Ghana cedis compared to 12 billion Ghana cedis with the same period in 2018. It's not clear for now what might have been the reason for this significant increase, but some analysts are pointing to some strong pickup of economic activities this year compared to the same period for last year. This data was contained in the latest Bank of Ghana statistical analysis of the economy. Let's turn our attention to the stock market. If you're an investor in Fanlog, today you actually gain about 3 pesos and it's now worth 1 Ghana cedi 1 peso. MTN lost actually 3 pesos and it's now worth 58 pesos. And that's all for the news on Newsnight.
And this is your election headquarters. The General Secretary of the NDC, Johnson Seydou Nketia, has criticized government over what he says is the swift implementation of some policies in the NDC 2020 manifesto. He spoke at the party's town hall meeting at Kumasi in the Ashanti region.
Only Ninkwala na Ochre or Madiano. Why any Madia? Teacher, our Bonkra will be at you. And Ninkwala na, Wamusian teacher no the Naseno. Why any Madia? Sir, my Muyati party for Wama Bonkra and DC for Monty Bida. Na ya manifesto kitwa bi yanyama ba mu kura say ya di be ya adwuma na party for nimdi for na wo mo ache kotu abota ya kese no enu na wo mo ache ase di ya adwuma no na teacher wa bon ene ne nkwala na yesua ne na se na wan na bon.
So that's the General Secretary of the NDC, Johnson Seydou Nketia, raising concern about the swift implementation of some of the policies that were put out in the NDC's 2020 manifesto. He cites the Okada operation because we know that there's some consultation underway from the Transport Ministry. So in essence, that's what he's been saying at that town hall meeting. But Nana Ojima is our man on the ground. He joins us on the line. Nana Ojima, the former Ashanti Regional Minister, Eric Opoku, has been comparing records in the Ashanti region. Tell us more about it.
So Mr. Opoku specifically spoke on development in the Ashanti region and also agriculture. On development, he lists some of the projects that the former Mahama administration did for the Ashanti region, and they are the Kumawu and Mampong water projects, which the Mahama administration extended to these areas, and also mentions KJTR markets and other satellite markets in the region as examples of some of the developmental projects that former President John Mahama brought to the Ashanti region. And according to him, some of these projects have stalled because it was started by the Mahama administration. And also, he refutes argument that nothing was done in terms of the long-abandoned mother and baby unit at the Kompanochi Teaching Hospital, which the President, Nana Akufo-Addo, is now completing in the Ashanti region. He says that the NDC did a lot of work in that area, and this is what he's been saying specifically on that.
Well, the former President Mahama has also been speaking at that town hall meeting. Bring us up to speed on what he's been saying.
So the former President, John Mahama, has been explaining his policies and also the manifesto that the NDC launched not long ago. In the new twist of what he has been saying is that he described the shortcutting being done by the Nana Akufo-Addo administration at Sakawa. According to him, Nana Akufo-Addo and his administration will have to show specifically where the funding for these projects are coming from, because it was neither captured under the budget nor has been sought approval from Parliament to implement all these projects. So, according to him, Ghanaians should not look at these projects that Nana Akufo-Addo is commencing to decide where to vote for.
Well, let's go to Takrade now, where the chief of Takrade, Osahene Busumakura III, has lauded government for prioritizing the development of the Twin City. The chief said it will be misleading of him and the people of Takrade if the Akufo-Addo-led government is not commended for transforming the area. Now, speaking at the sword-cutting ceremony for the construction of the PTC interchange in Takrade, he mentioned that Takrade has become a major beneficiary of infrastructure projects over the past few years, and that cannot be disputed.
I sit here as the chief of this city, and I have a responsibility to support the government of the day. I can say without fear that 4 years ago, I was invited by the NDC to go and as a special guest at New Takrade when they were opening to cut a tape for a coaster. And I was there as a special guest. And I congratulated them for opening a coaster. Why do you think I should not come and congratulate the President of Ghana for bringing the first interchange in Western Region? A 3-time interchange. I'm here to congratulate and to commend the President of Ghana, who is represented here every today by his Vice, Ahamadu Bawumia. Salam alaikum.
You have Osahene Busumakura III. We can now hear from the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, while he cuts out for the construction of the redevelopment and construction of the Park Ranch runabout.
He has changed the face of Ghana. Everywhere you go, you will see road construction going on. And in fact, if it had not been because of COVID, we would have cut the sort for this PTC interchange a few months ago. But nonetheless, we are happy. And the construction of this interface is part of phase 1 of the Sino-Hydro project. The other projects in this phase 1 are the Accra Inner City Roads, Kumasi Inner City Roads, the Tamale Interchange Project, the Adenta Dodua Dual Carriageway, Sunyani Inner City Road, Cape Coast Inner City Roads, upgrading of selected roads in Ashanti and Western regions, rehabilitation of the Akimo Dam of Wasini Green Road, and the Hohoi Jasikan Dodo Pepesu Road. These are all the projects that phase 1 we are doing. If you had followed the NDC argument, none of these projects would have been taking place in Ghana. And so we are thankful that we did not listen to them.
So that's the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. We'll be going for sports shortly with Baba Tando, but George is still with us here in the studio, Evans. And the news is that the government has just released an amount of 3.5 billion Ghana cedis to the receiver of the collapsed banks and financial institutions to pay them in cash. George, what are the details?
So what we are picking from the statement coming from the receiver is that in line with government's commitment to actually help protect depositors' funds, an X amount of about 6.4 billion Ghana cedis to help fully settle the validated claims of depositors of these institutions, Emefa. Now, as a receiver, this brings the processing payment of these validated deposited claims to a closure to a total amount of approximately 6.7. Now, if you go through the statement, we get the understanding that only a fraction of about 402 million Ghana cedis that are remaining to be paid, and therefore they are actually going to work to ensure that necessary payments are done. So it looks like from this funds coming in, they will be able to close the chapter in terms of outstanding claims that has been validated by the receiver. So it means that they will try and fast track the process to pay these monies, and that will be mixed of cash and then the issuance of bonds, Emefa.
Okay. George, we are there. Subsequently, we'll bring you more on that, and also on myjoyonline.com you can get the details there.
Well, built about 300 years ago, the Dutch slave fort was a place where a Ghanaian king was beheaded 2 centuries ago.
But before we get you that report from Justice Bejo, let's go over to Zoom now and join my colleague Baba Tando. She has the latest from the world of sports. Babs.
Hi, Emefa Evans, a former chairman of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Youth and Sports, Mensah, is appealing to government to support both male and female clubs financially as the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic continue to bite really hard on the purses of football club administrators in Ghana. The Member of Parliament for South Hong and ranking member on Youth and Sports Committee of Parliament believes clubs at all levels need to be cushioned to allow for the quick return of competitive football.
At least from the Premier down to the Colts and the Women's Game League and all of them, we need to support them. And then, of course, they are really bleeding there. We need to support them. If you want our football to come back quickly, definitely for the fact that the law on social distancing is still in place, and we'll not be having our spectators moving in their numbers to go and watch, there will be the need for, as quickly as possible, some good stimulus package to support these teams to be able to pay their cost of moving from one place to the other, hotels, and then the allowances and salaries and so on, over a period, in order for them to be able to bring football back and then get things going.
That was Parliamentary Select Committee ranking member on Youth and Sports Committee of Parliament, Mensah. Now, there are some matches going on in the 2020-2021 Champions League qualification. Just ended is that game between Dynamo Kiev and AZ Alkmaar. It's Dynamo Kiev 2, AZ Alkmaar 0. Halftime between PAOK Thessaloniki and Benfica, goalless over there. And just 25 minutes into the game between Ghent and Rapid Wien, it's also goalless. Coming up at 7 o'clock is Montpellier taking on Lyon in the French League. In the English Carabao Cup, there will be some matches also ongoing. West Ham are leading Charlton Athletic by a goal to nil. Newcastle nil, Blackburn Rovers nil. Oxford United 1, Watford nil. AFC Bournemouth are also hosting Crystal Palace. It's 11 minutes into that game and there are no goals yet. You can log on to myjournalline.com/sports for more of these stories you've heard and these results as well. You are up to date in the world of sports. I am Baba Tando.
Thank you very much, Baba. Now, Evans, take us to the fort of St. Bertinstein.
Well, as I said 300 years ago, you didn't know this. I'm happy to tell you. That's